The armor that rejected every alien until it found a human. The armor wasn't just alien, it was alive. And after centuries of silence, it had finally chosen its next wearer. Not a warrior, not a king, a foul-mouthed, reckless human who laughed in the face of death. As Captain Naomi crossed locked eyes with the obsidian relic, its silver veins pulsed like a heartbeat. Waiting, the scientists warned her. It had burned every other test subject alive. But Naomi had never been good at following warnings. She reached out. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, the armor moved. Because it wasn't just choosing her, it was awakening, and the monsters it had been built to destroy were coming for them both. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The morning sun filtered through the dusty windows of the Rusty Anchor, the only tavern in the sleepy coastal town of Blackshell Cove. The scent of salt and ale hung thick in the air as Elias Thorne, a wiry man with a sharp tongue and sharper wit, leaned against the bar, drumming his fingers impatiently. "Another round, Marla," he called out, sliding a copper coin across the wormwood. "And make it quick. This thirst isn't going to quench itself." Marla, the tavern keeper, a woman built like a ship's mast and just as unyielding, shot him a glare. "You'll get your ale when I'm good and ready, Elias. Last time I hurried, you complained it was too foamy." "Ah, but that's because you poured it like you were drowning a rat," Elias retorted, grinning as the handful of patrons chuckled. A sudden creak of the door silenced the room. A stranger stepped in, his cloak damp from the sea spray, his boots leaving muddy prints on the floor. The man's eyes, dark and calculating, scanned the room before settling on Elias. Well, Elias muttered, raising his newly filled tankard. "Either you're lost, friend, or you're looking for trouble. This isn't the sort of place folks stumble into by accident." The stranger smirked, sliding into the seat beside him. "Depends on what you call trouble. I'm looking for a man who knows these waters. Someone who isn't afraid of unconventional work." Elias took a slow sip, eyeing the stranger over the rim of his mug. "Unconventional, eh? That's a fancy word for illegal. Call it what you like," the man replied, lowering his voice. "But the pay's good. Gold enough to make even a loudmouth like you think twice." Marla leaned in, wiping the counter a little too aggressively. "Whatever you're selling, we're not buying. Last time outsiders came with opportunities, half the town disappeared." The stranger's smile didn't waver. "I'm not here to cause trouble. Just need a guide. A man who knows the currents, the hidden coves, and the stories about the Crimson Siren." Elias's tankard hit the table with a thud. "That's a cursed name. You're either brave or stupid to be asking about her." "Maybe both," the stranger admitted. "But I've got a map and a theory." He pulled a rolled parchment from his coat, the edges frayed with age. Elias exhaled sharply. "You're digging up graves, friend. That ship went down with every soul aboard, and the treasure it carried. No one who goes looking for it comes back." "Then why?" the stranger said, leaning closer. "Do the tides still bring up coins with her mark?" The room fell silent again, the weight of the question hanging in the air. Elias stared at the map, then at the stranger's unwavering gaze. Finally, he grinned. "All right, you got my attention. But if we're doing this, we do it my way. And if you double-cross me, well, let's just say the fish be eating well." The stranger extended a hand. "Deal." Elias shook it, ignoring Marla's disapproving sigh. Somewhere beyond the tavern walls, the wind howled like a warning. But for the first time in years, Elias Thorne felt alive. And that, he knew, was either the start of an adventure or the last mistake he'd ever make. Chapter 2. The lab was eerily silent as Captain Naomi Cross strode in, her boots clicking against the polished floor. The artifact loomed ahead, its obsidian surface shimmering under the harsh fluorescent lights. She could feel the weight of every scientist's gaze on her, some skeptical, others outright terrified. Dr. Marcus Reed stepped forward, his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "You sure about this, Cross?" The last volunteer wound up with third-degree burns. Naomi smirked, rolling her shoulders. What, like a little cosmic sunburn scares me? Please. I've had worse from cheap Martian whiskey. A few nervous chuckles broke out among the researchers. Dr. Alara Voss, however, didn't laugh. She tapped her datapad, her sharp green eyes scanning Naomi up and down. This isn't a joke, Captain. That thing rejects everything we throw at it. Violently, Naomi adjusted the sleek, form-fitting suit, hugging her frame, the material flexing with her movements. Yeah, I read the reports. Alien DNA, lab-grown hybrids, yada yada. But you know what you haven't tried? She pointed at herself. Actual 100% pure, stubborn human. Marcus sighed, rubbing his temples. You realize if this goes south, I'm the one who has to explain to Command why we lost a decorated dropship pilot to a glorified hunk of space rock. Document. Naomi grinned. You do care. Alara stepped between them, her voice low but firm. Enough. If you're doing this, let's not waste time. She handed Naomi a small biometric sensor. Stick this on your temple. If your vitals spike, we pull you out. No arguments. Naomi pressed the sensor to her skin and then cracked her knuckles. Relax, Doc. If this thing wanted me dead, it wouldn't have waited. She turned toward the artifact. The moment she took her first step, the air in the room thickened. The armor's silver veins pulsed a slow, rhythmic glow that quickened as she approached. One of the junior scientists, a wiry guy with glasses, whispered, "Holy hell, it's reacting." Naomi ignored him, her focus locked on the artifact. She reached out, her fingers hovering inches from its surface. The veins flared brighter, as if anticipating her touch. Then, without hesitation, she pressed her palm against it. The effect was instantaneous. The armor shuddered, plates detaching like liquid shadow, swirling around her in a whirlwind of motion. Naomi barely had time to gasp before the pieces clamped onto her body. Cool at first, then warming, molding to her like a second skin. The scientists stumbled back, some shouting, others frozen in shock. Marcus lunged forward. Naomi, but she couldn't hear him. Her vision flooded with alien symbols, scrolling too fast to read, until they translated words burning in her mind like they'd always been there. User recognized. Genetic signature. Human. Neural compatibility. 99.8%. Then a voice deep, ancient, and unmistakably alive, spoke inside her skull. Welcome, Keeper. Naomi's breath hitched. This wasn't just armor. It was waiting for her. And now, it had found her. Chapter 3. The waves crashed against the hull of the Blackfin, the old fishing boat Elias had borrowed for their expedition. The wood groaned in protest as the ship cut through the choppy waters, the sky overhead a brooding gray. Elias tightened his grip on the wheel, squinting at the horizon. You sure this is the right way? He shouted over the wind. Because if we're lost, I'm blaming your damn map. The stranger, now known as Rourke, stood at the bow, unfazed. We're close, he called back. The currents shift here, but the landmarks match. That jagged rock, that's the Widow's Tooth. Means the wreck should be just beyond the reef. Marla, who had insisted on coming despite Elias's protests, folded her arms. And what happens when we find it? You think ghosts are just going to hand over their treasure? Rourke smirked. Ghosts don't scare me. It's the living you've got to worry about. Elias rolled his eyes. Oh, wonderful. More cryptic nonsense. Next, you'll tell me the treasure's guarded by a sea serpent. Rourke's silence was answer enough. Marla groaned. You've got to be joking. Before Rourke could reply, the Blackfin lurched violently, throwing Elias off balance. A grinding screech echoed beneath them as the hull scraped against something solid and unmistakably unnatural. Elias cursed, scrambling to the railing. Reefs don't move, Rourke. Below the surface, a shadow shifted. Something massive, serpentine, coiled just beneath the waves. The water darkened as it circled the boat. Marla's face paled. Tell me that a trick of the light. Rourke's hand went to the knife at his belt. Wish I could. The creature surfaced with a roar, its scales glistening like polished obsidian. Its eyes, yellow and slit pupils, locked onto them with predatory focus. Elias's mouth went dry. Okay, Sea Serpent, now you tell us. Rourke didn't flinch. Didn't think you'd believe me. Marla grabbed a harpoon from the deck. Less talking, more not dying. The serpent struck, its maw gaping wide. Elias yanked the wheel hard, barely dodging the attack. The blackfin rocked violently, seawater sloshing over the sides. Rourke lunged, driving his knife into the creature's flank. It shrieked, thrashing but didn't retreat. Elias gritted his teeth. We can't outfight this thing. We need to outrun it. Marla hefted the harpoon, or outsmart it. With a grunt, she hurled the weapon, not at the serpent, but at the rigging above. The rope snapped, and the sail came crashing down, tangling around the beast's head. Blinded, the serpent writhed, its tail smashing into the mast. Wood splintered, but the distraction was enough. Go, Rourke barked. Elias didn't need to tell twice. He shoved the throttle forward, and the blackfin surged ahead, leaving the enraged creature behind. As the distance grew, Marla slumped against the railing, breathless. Remind me why I agreed to this again? Elias grinned, adrenaline still coursing through him. Because deep down, you love the excitement. Rourke, wiping serpent blood from his blade, shot them a rare, grim smile. And we're not done yet. The wreck's just ahead. Elias's grin faded. Right? The crimson siren, and whatever horrors still waited inside. The wind howled in agreement. Chapter, for the armor had a name. It whispered it to Naomi in the quiet hours of the night when the lab was empty and the only light came from Valkaz's pulsing veins. I am Valkaz. You are Keeper. The words curled through her mind like smoke, ancient and heavy with meaning. Naomi sat on the edge of her cot, rolling the name around in her thoughts. Valkaz, huh? Sounds like some kind of alien luxury car. Your humor is noted, Keeper. And irrelevant. She snorted. Oh, so it's got attitude too. Perfect. The door to her quarters slid open, and Alara stepped in, her arms full of data pads. Talking to yourself now, Cross? Or was the armor finally answering? Naomi smirked. Turns out it's a chatty one. Name's Valkaz. Alara froze, her grip tightening on the pads. It communicates? Like a grumpy old professor. Alara set the pads down with a thud, her eyes alight with scientific hunger. This changes everything. If it's sentient, I am not in it, Valkaz interjected, the voice echoing loud enough that Alara startled. Naomi laughed. See? Told you. Alara recovered quickly, her professional mask slipping back into place. Fascinating. But names and sass aside, we need to understand its purpose. Why did it choose you? Naomi flexed her fingers, watching as Valkaz's plates shifted seamlessly with the motion. Beats me. Maybe it likes my winning personality. Incorrect. You are compatible. The others were not. Alara's brow furrowed. Others? Before Naomi could answer, the base alarm screamed to life, red lights strobing through the room. A voice blared over the intercom. Unauthorized aerial contact. All personnel to emergency stations. Naomi was on her feet in an instant, Valkaz reacting faster than her muscles, the armor tightening protectively around her. Alara grabbed her arm. What's happening? Naomi didn't need to guess. The air hummed a vibration that rattled her teeth. She knew that sound. Something's here for Valkaz. They burst into the corridor, scientists scrambling in chaos. Marcus nearly collided with them, his face pale. We got a ship, not one of ours. It's just hovering outside the perimeter. Naomi didn't hesitate. Get everyone underground. Now. Marcus grabbed her shoulder. Where the hell are you going? She grinned, sharp and reckless. To say hello. The hangar doors groaned as she shoved them open, the desert wind whipping her hair. Above, the sky rippled, the sleek, dagger-like silhouette of the alien ship cutting through the clouds. It made no sound. No engines, no heat signatures, just wrongness, a shape that hurt to look at for too long. Then, a voice boomed across the tarmac, deep and layered, like three people speaking at once. Return the Keeper's armor, human, or your world burns. Naomi's fists clenched. Valkaz thrummed, energy crackling along her knuckles. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, she muttered. They're not joking. Valkaz supplied helpfully. Yeah, thanks for that. She squared her shoulders and shouted up at the ship, "Sorry, buddy, no defense." The ship pulsed, a soundless explosion of light, and then the ground shook as a beam of energy lanced down, carving a molten trench inches from her boots. Naomi didn't flinch. She just cracked her neck and smiled. "All right, Valkus, let's see what you can really do." Chapter 5. The wreck of the Crimson Siren loomed before them, its broken hull rising from the depths like the bones of a long-dead beast. The water around it was unnaturally still, as if even the sea feared to disturb what slept inside. Elias adjusted the straps of his diving gear, his breath coming quicker than he'd admit. "You sure this is a good idea?" Marla muttered, tightening the buckles on her rear with sharp, nervous tugs. "We barely survived the serpent. Who knows what's inside that thing?" Rourke checked the edge of his knife, his face unreadable. "Only one way to find out." Elias snorted, spoken like a man who's never met a ghost. Rourke shot him a look. "You believe in ghosts now? After what we've seen?" "I'm starting to believe in everything," Elias fired back. Marla rolled her eyes. "Can we focus? The sooner we get in, the sooner we get out, preferably alive." With a final check of their gear, the three plunged into the icy water. The descent was slow, the weight of the ocean pressing in around them. As they neared the wreck, the darkness seemed to thicken, swallowing the light from their torches. Elias swam ahead, his beam cutting through the gloom to reveal the siren's shattered deck. The wood was blackened as if scorched by some long-ago fire, and strange carvings, twisted, unnatural things, covered every surface. Marla grabbed his arm, pointing. A skeleton lay slumped against the mast, its fingers still curled around the hilt of a rusted cutlass. The skull grinned up at them, empty sockets seeming to follow their movements. Elias shuddered. "Cheery fellow." Rourke ignored them, swimming toward a gaping hole in the deck. He gestured sharply, "This way." The interior of the ship was worse. The walls were lined with more skeletons, their poses frozen in agony. One still clutched a rusted pistol. Another sprawled halfway out of a doorway, as if trying to escape. Marla's voice crackled over the comms, tight with unease. "What happened here?" Rourke's reply was grim. "Something they couldn't fight." Elias's torch flickered as they reached the captain's quarters. The door hung crooked on its hinges, and inside, the room was eerily intact. A massive desk dominated the space, its surface littered with yellowed maps and a single, iron-bound chest. Rourke moved toward it, but Elias grabbed his arm. "Wait, this feels too easy." Rourke shook him off. "We didn't come this far to turn back now." As Rourke lifted the chest's lid, a sound echoed through the ship, a low, shuddering groan like the creak of old wood. Except the water around them was perfectly still. Marla's breath hitched. That wasn't the ship. The skeletons began to move. Bones clicked as they straightened, empty eyes turning toward the intruders. The one with the cutlass lurched forward, its jaw hanging open in a soundless scream. Elias's pulse roared in his ears. "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." Rourke slammed the chest shut, tucking it under his arm. "Go, now." They bolted, kicking through the water as the skeletons gave chase. Marla swam like a woman possessed, her torch beam bouncing wildly as she dodged grasping bone fingers. Elias risked a glance back and immediately regretted it. The skeletons were fast, their movements jerky but relentless. One lunged, its fingers brushing his ankle. He yelped, kicking hard. "Move, move, move." They burst out of the wreck just as the first rays of sunlight pierced the water. The skeletons hesitated at the threshold, their hollow eyes watching as the trio fled upward. As they broke the surface, gasping for air, Marla whirled on Rourke. "You knew." Rourke didn't deny it. "I suspected." Elias dragged himself onto the Blackfin, chest heaving. "Next time, share your suspicions before we almost die." Rourke climbed aboard after him, the chest still clutched tight. "Would you have come if I had?" Marla and Elias exchanged a glance. "No," Elias admitted. Rourke smirked. "Exactly." He set the chest down with a thud. "Now, let's see what we almost died for." The lock gave way with a rusty screech. Inside, nestled in rotting velvet, lay a single, blood-red gem, and a note. Its ink faded but still legible. The price is paid. The siren wakes. The wind howled like a warning. Somewhere, far beneath them, the sea began to stir. Chapter 6. The truth hit Naomi like a plasma round to the chest. She stumbled back from Xiron's latest attack, her breath ragged inside Valkaz's helmet. The alien warlord loomed over her, his iridescent skin flickering with stolen energy. Around them, the research base burned, twisted metal and shattered glass littering the battlefield. "Keeper, you must listen." Valkaz's voice was urgent in her mind. Xiron species are parasites. They consume worlds. I was built to contain them. Naomi barely dodged another energy blast. "You couldn't have led with that." Xiron's laughter echoed across the ruined hangar. "You were a tomb, human. The last keeper died, screaming in it." Marcus's voice crackled in her comm. "Naomi, we've analyzed Valkaz's energy signature. It's not a weapon system. It's a damn prison." Alara chimed in, her voice tight with panic. "And you're the lock." Naomi rolled behind a collapsed support beam as Xiron's energy whip sliced through the air where she'd stood. "So what? I'm just supposed to hug him to death." "Close. You must make physical contact. I will do the rest." Xiron's armored boots crunched closer. "Your predecessors were warriors. Kings. You." He gestured at her battered form. "You're nothing." Naomi spat blood onto the scorched concrete. "Yeah, well." She pushed her feet, Valkaz humming with building power. "Turns out nothing beats hasn't won a fight in 5 centuries. The alien's eyes flared with rage. He lunged, but Naomi was faster. She ducked under his swing and grabbed his wrist. Valkaz's plates screamed open, revealing a swirling void beneath the armor. Xiron's confidence shattered. "No, this isn't possible. It is inevitable." Valkaz's voice boomed through the hangar. The warlord's body began to dissolve, his essence unraveling into light as Valkaz consumed him. His final scream was cut short as the armor sealed again with a resonant clang. Silence. Then Marcus's awestruck whisper in her ear, "Holy hell, you ate him." Naomi collapsed to her knees, suddenly exhausted. Valkaz's surface cooled against her skin. "Correction, I contained him. There's a difference." Alara came sprinting around the wreckage, skidding to a stop beside her. "Are you alive?" "Yeah." Naomi grimaced. "Regretting that burrito from lunch?" "Also yeah." But her joke fell flat as Valkaz pulsed ominously. This was only the first. There are more. Naomi looked up at the stars visible through the shattered roof. Somewhere out there, other suits like Valkaz waited. Other keepers. Other threats. She exhaled slowly. "Well, shit." Alara helped her stand, their eyes meeting in silent understanding. The fight wasn't over. It had only just begun. Chapter 7. The storm hit without warning. One moment, the sea was calm. The next, the Blackfin was being tossed like a toy in a bathtub, waves crashing over the deck with enough force to knock a man overboard. Elias clung to the wheel, his knuckles white, as lightning split the sky. "This isn't natural," Marla shouted, struggling to tie down the loose gear before it was swept away. "That gem, it's doing this." Rourke stood at the bow, the cursed red gem clutched in his hand, his face unreadable. The wind howled around him like a living thing, but he didn't move. Elias bared his teeth. "Rourke, either throw that damn thing overboard or tell me what the hell is happening." Rourke turned slowly, his eyes gleaming with something Elias didn't like. "It's too late for that," he said, his voice barely audible over the storm. "She's coming." A deafening crack of thunder shook the boat, and then silence. The rain stopped mid-fall. The waves froze in place. Even the wind died, leaving an eerie, breathless calm. Marla grabbed Elias's arm. "I don't like this. I don't like this at all." Then, the sea began to part. A figure rose from the depths, wreathed in the mist. A woman with hair like tangled seaweed and eyes as black as the abyss. Her voice, when she spoke, was the sound of a drowning man's last gasp. "You have awakened me." Elias's blood turned to ice. "Oh hell." The siren's gaze locked on Rourke. "You carry my heart. You know the price." Rourke didn't flinch. Edo. Marla's grip tightened. Rourke, what did you do? He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped forward, holding out the gem. Take it. The debt is paid. The siren's fingers curled around the stone, and a shudder ran through her. The air grew thick and heavy, like the moment before a lightning strike. Elias's instincts screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. Rourke, if you've doomed us. The siren's laughter cut him off, a sound like breaking glass. Foolish little thief. Did you think I would let you leave? Rourke's calm finally cracked. We had a bargain, and now I make a new one. Her hand shot out, gripping Rourke's wrist. Your life for theirs. Elias didn't think. He lunged, knocking Rourke aside and driving his knife into the siren's arm. She shrieked, the sound piercing his skull like a blade, but she let go. Run, Elias roared. Marla didn't hesitate. She grabbed Rourke and hauled him toward the Blackfin's emergency skiff. Elias followed, his heart hammering as the siren's wail shook the air. They hit the water just as the storm returned with a vengeance. The Blackfin shattered behind them, swallowed by a wave the size of a mountain. Marla rode like a woman possessed, her breath coming in ragged gasps. What was that? Rourke, pale and shaking, stared at the wreckage. A mistake. Elias barked a laugh, wild and unsteady. Understatement of the century. The siren's scream echoed over the waves, but it was growing fainter. The storm was breaking, the sky lightening at the edges. Marla slumped, her arms trembling. Is it over? Rourke closed his eyes. For now. Elias leaned back, staring at the horizon. The sun was rising, painting the sea in gold and red. He exhaled long and slow. Next time, he said, we stick to fishing. Marla groaned. There better not be a next time. Rourke said nothing. But as the skiff drifted toward shore, Elias caught him glancing back. Just once, at the place where the crimson siren had sunk beneath the waves. And for the first time, Elias wondered if they'd really won. But that was a problem for another day. For now, they were alive. And that, he decided, was enough. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.